The Raiders had an extremely ugly 2024 campaign as they went 4-13 and finished dead last in the AFC West. They were unwatchable offensively, and defensively, they weren't that good either. But Las Vegas had an extremely good offseason, and while their division is extremely good, I'm here to tell you right now that the Raiders are going to be way better in 2025, and they will take a sizable leap and be in the playoff mix, which is what we're going to go over in today's video. Now, before we do get started, of course, go ahead and hit the like button if you guys end up enjoying the video, since it really does help out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy content like the one you're watching right now, and so you don't miss out on any new videos. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get things started. Now, we'll start off by discussing the Raiders' offense, and like I said earlier, they were unwatchable on that side of the ball, aside from a few guys. Brock Bowers had an extremely good rookie season, and he's arguably the best tight end in the NFL already. Jakobi Meyers, he was really good and is maybe the most underrated wide receiver in the league. He's also a Pats legend. I love him a lot as a Patriots fan. And they also had some offensive linemen play pretty well. Jackson Powers-Johnson, he had a solid rookie season. Colton Miller, he continued to be one of the better left tackles in the league. Dylan Parham, he was solid at guard. And DJ Glaze, he was alright at right tackle. But Las Vegas as a whole really couldn't do anything well offensively. They ranked 29th in team offense, 13th in passing offense, which that's not the worst, but they were dead last in rushing offense, 29th in points per game, 30th in third down percentage, 27th in red zone percentage, and 28th in points per drive. And as far as efficiency stats go, they were second last in EPA per play, 25th in success rate, 28th in dropback EPA, 20th in dropback success rate, and they were last in both rushing EPA and rushing success rate. So yeah, the Raiders offense in 2024, it was extremely bad. But their offense is going to be a lot better in 2025 if you ask me, and I think it's actually going to be pretty good. For starters, they have a real quarterback now in Geno Smith, and he's honestly the most underrated quarterback in the league if you ask me. He's not an elite quarterback, but he is good, and I know his numbers after 2022, they did decline, and he definitely had some bad interceptions last year, but again, he is not that bad of a player. And another thing people need to realize is that Geno Smith had to do a lot of heavy lifting for the Seahawks offense when he was there, and sometimes he actually had to carry them. The Seahawks offensive line was really bad when Geno Smith was there, and their run game was mediocre consequently because of this, and the Seahawks really had to win games solely with their passing attack offensively because of how bad their offensive line and their run game was. And when you're tasked to do so much, as a quarterback who's, just good and not exactly great and isn't really meant to, carry a team and really, just can't do that, they're bound to make some mistakes, to be fair to Geno Smith. And again, Geno Smith, he is not a great quarterback or anything like that, but he is a good quarterback, and he should be a really big upgrade, for this team, at that position. I mean, last year they had Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, even Desmond Ridder. Their quarterback play was really bad, and Geno Smith, he is going to be a really big upgrade, for that Raiders offense, at quarterback. And luckily for him, I don't think he'll have to do as much heavy lifting for Vegas's offense in 2025. Las Vegas's offensive line last year wasn't that amazing, as they were 17th in pass block win rate and 22nd in run block win rate, but they do have decent talent up front, and I do think they have the talent to be an average to above average offensive line, which would be an upgrade, compared to what he had in Seattle. Along with that, the Raiders did draft Ashton Jeanty, in the backfield to help support him. And I know people are going to have gripes with taking a running back in the top 10 these days, but Ashton Jeanty was a generational running back prospect and had an insane amount of hype behind him for a reason. I absolutely loved him coming out of Boise State. I mean, he was strong, had good vision and patience, he was quick, he was fast, he had really good contact balance. He wasn't that bad in pass protection, and he was a decent receiving back as well. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to develop into a superstar really quickly, and again, he's going to do a really good job supporting Geno and, taking pressure off of him. And like I said before, Brock Bowers, he's arguably the best tight end in the league, and the Raiders also do have Michael Mayer, as their backup tight end, and I thought he was one of the best tight ends, in the 2023 draft, and playing behind Brock Bowers definitely will limit his touches, and so far in the NFL, he hasn't been anything amazing, and, who knows how good he's going to be on the Raiders just given the fact that Brock Bowers is there. But with that said, Michael Mayer, I mean, maybe he could be something. And if Brock Bowers, does go down with an injury, Michael Mayer, having him as your backup tight end, I mean, that is pretty good. And Las Vegas's wide receiving core, it's really not that bad either. Like I said before, Jakobi Meyers is really good and maybe the most underrated wide receiver in the league. Trey Tucker, he's a good deep threat. They also drafted Jack Beck out of TCU, and I liked him a lot coming out of TCU, and I think he should be a pretty good player. He's not exactly blazing fast, but Jack Beck is a really good route runner. He has good hands, and he is a good yak threat. And the Raiders did draft Dante Thornton, who can serve as another good deep threat for this offense. And Chip Kelly was hired as this team's offensive coordinator, and he has NFL and college experience, obviously. And while he was fired for by the Eagles way back in the day for a reason, and his stint with the 49ers was a disaster, he wasn't bad as UCLA's head coach, and he was really good, as Ohio State's offensive coordinator the one season he was there. I think Chip Kelly will actually be a really good offensive coordinator, and the Raiders' offense, again, it should be astronomically better, than it was in 2024. And I'm really excited to see this unit play, in 2025. And like I said before, I think they should be pretty good. Now, even though I'm really excited to see Las Vegas's offense, I can't lie, their defense definitely does worry me a bit, but I don't think it's going to be a dog shit unit either. They do have Max Crosby, who is one of the best edge rushers in the league. Malcolm Koonce, he missed all of last season with an injury, but he is quite solid when healthy. They do have Tyree Wilson, who he's a pretty interesting player because he was a former top 10 pick in the 2023 draft, and he was a known project player who would take time to develop, and he hasn't done that much in his first 2 seasons, in the league, but in 2024, he did start to show some improvement, and he is a good run stopper to be fair. So maybe 2025 can be the year that Tyree Wilson, he puts it all together and becomes a real difference maker. But then when you look at their defensive tackles, it is pretty concerning. Adam Butler and Lecky Fotu are currently their projected starting DTs, and neither of them are very good. And it does suck because they had Christian Wilkins, but he didn't really play much last year due to an injury, and he was recently released because he wouldn't get another surgery to help him recover, from an injury. And along with that, he was acting too freaky, and he playfully kissed a dude on the forehead, which rubbed some teammates the wrong way. But the Vegas, they do have really nice edge rushers, but like I said before, their defensive tackles, they are pretty concerning. However, I will say the Raiders linebackers are not that bad. They got a Landon Roberts, who's another Patriots legend, shout out to him. He is pretty good. He's not very good in coverage, but he is really good at stopping the run. And they got Jermaine Pratt at the other linebacker spot, and Jermaine Pratt, he's an alright player. And then we take a look at Las Vegas's secondary. I won't lie, this group is also kind of concerning. Right now, the Raiders' projected starters at cornerback are Eric Stokes, Darian Porter, and Darnay Holmes. And Eric Stokes, he had a promising start to his career, but he's fallen off since then, and who knows if he'll ever get back to his old self. Darian Porter, he's a rookie, who they drafted, in this year's NFL draft, and I thought he was decent coming out of Iowa State. Now, he is kind of a big project player because he does have really good athletic tools, but he has to clean up his technique, so who knows how good he is as a rookie. I definitely think he will show some nice flashes, but he will have his growing pains in my opinion. And then Darnay Holmes, he's just not that good of a player, but as far as their safeties go, Jeremy Chin, he's not that bad of a player. He's not very good in coverage, but Jeremy Chin is a really good box safety, and you can do a lot worse than him. And then Isaiah Pola-Mao is their other starting safety, but he is not that good. So I won't lie, Las Vegas's defense overall, it is a little bit concerning, and there definitely are some real question marks, especially in the secondary and at defensive tackle. But to be fair, there are things to like about it, like their edge rushers and their linebackers. And I do like their defensive coaching. They have Patrick Graham as their defensive coordinator, and I do think he is good. So maybe he can find a way to elevate this unit. And they, of course, hired Pete Carroll as their head coach. And if this was 10 years ago, Pete Carroll would be considered an elite head coach. And while he's no longer an elite head coach anymore, and I do think he has fizzled out a little bit, and he, definitely fell off, towards the end of his Seattle tenure, I don't think Pete Carroll is that bad of a head coach. I do think he will bring some stability to the head coaching spot, and who knows, maybe he can, help Patrick Graham find a way to elevate, this defense, which again, there are things to like about it, but there are things to also, not like about it. But hey, even with those question marks, I think the Raiders are a much better team compared to last season. I mean, their offense, as I said earlier, it should be really good, and in my opinion, it's going to be the main thing keeping them in games this upcoming season. I think their coaching should be a lot better. I mean, last year they had like Antonio Pierce as their head coach and Luke Getsy as their offensive coordinator. And Antonio Pierce, I know he was really good for the Raiders back in 2023 when he took over for them like mid-season. In fact, it's the reason why he was hired as their full-time head coach back then. But in 2024, he really wasn't that good. And then Luke Getsy, he was also not a very good offensive coordinator. So again, I think the Raiders coaching, it is going to be a lot better. And having good coaching is a very key part to being a good football team, in the NFL. Not even just in the NFL, just any level of football, whether that be college, high school, I guess Pop Warner, like you need good coaching. And along with that, defensively, while I don't think they will be elite, they definitely could be an average unit. And if they can be like a top 10 to 12 or top 10 to 15 offense and be like an average defense, all of that should be enough to win more than 4 games this upcoming season. Now, by far, the biggest obstacle for Las Vegas heading into 2025 has to be their division, because the AFC West, in my opinion, is the most stacked division in the league. And I'm sure if you ask a bunch of other people, they would say the exact same thing. The Chiefs, well, they're the Chiefs. The Chargers, they made the playoffs last year, and they actually have a good future this time with Jim Harbaugh, who's actually a good head coach, and they got Justin Herbert, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think they should be good on both offense and defense, and they should be at least in the playoff mix in 2025. The Broncos, they made the playoffs last year, and Sean Payton, he's still one of the best head coaches in the league. Their defense is arguably the best unit in the NFL right now, and their offense, it should be even better in 2025, especially with Bo Nix, who he already had a really good rookie season, but if he's even better in 2025, then yeah, their offense, again, it should be a lot better this upcoming season. And all of those teams, all of them made the playoffs last year. All of them got at least good quarterback play. All of them have great head coaches, and because of how good the teams in their division are, that is only going to make things tougher. And sometimes teams end up in predicaments where they actually aren't that bad, but they're just in a division that's so damn good that and that's the exact predicament the Raiders are in. But even with how stacked the AFC West is, I do think Las Vegas should still be a better team, and I think there is still a world where they do win like double-digit games or make the playoffs. And when you take a look at their schedule, I think they will win like 2 to 3 of their division games, and then from there they play the AFC South, and I think they win 2 to 4 of those games. They then play the NFC East, and I think they'll win to 1 to 2. I think they are going to win 1 to 2 of those games. And then their last 3 games come against the Bears, the Patriots, and the Browns. And I think Las Vegas is going to win like 1 to 2 of those games. And I'll admit, I think there is a possibility where the Raiders, looking at their floor, where they just aren't that great of a team and they only win like 6 games. But I also think there is a world, where the Raiders, if they hit their ceiling, they win like 10 or 11 games and they end up making the playoffs. Now I will say, who knows, if they do reach their ceiling, and who knows if they reach their floor. And I'll admit, in order to reach their ceiling, I do think they are going to need some guys to overperform, and they might need some luck on their side. But again, the Raiders, I'm really excited to see how they're going to be in 2025. I think they should be pretty competitive. I think they should be a lot better this upcoming season. And while the AFC is loaded, especially their division, I 100% think they can make the playoffs. And again, I'm excited to see how they're going to be in 2025. But that's all I got to say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, make sure you guys like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. And check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter and Instagram are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.